My name is Grace Keliher, and I'm the Director of Governmental Relations for the Minnesota School Boards Association. MSBA represents elected school board members from around Minnesota. The member-driven organization was founded in 1920 and is dedicated to supporting, promoting, and enhancing the work of public school boards and public education. My state association has over 2,000 elected school board members who dedicate themselves to local schools, students, and communities. Minnesota provides education funding via a financial partnership between the state and 337 local school districts and 147 charter schools. These school districts and charter schools exhibit diversity in terms of enrollment, local property wealth, and expenditure levels. 2010, a full-time equivalent teaching staff of 51,000 served approximately 821,000 children in Minnesota. For that same year, the state provided approximately 60% of the total cost of elementary and secondary education, and local revenue sources, primarily property taxes, provided approximately 27% of operating revenues. The federal government added to that amount by 13%. This year, as Representative Dittrich will share, Minnesota came together with one collective voice and redesigned our school trust lands to ensure sound and effective management. This was an incredible accomplishment and required saying no to many vocal constituencies, all who threatened to score, record, and turn out any legislator who voted for this huge overhaul of Minnesota's land management system. And to the shock of many of the political elite, the stars aligned, and Minnesota leaders rose to the challenge of great change without fear and voted for a school trust land overhaul. My eternal thanks to local legislators Cruz, Bach, Olson, Engelbretson, and Representatives Rourkevina, O'Driscoll, McFarland, McNamara, Downey, and Garofalo, and to Governor Dayton. It's a diverse bunch of both bodies who put kids as number one. House File 2244 and Senate File 1750 in the Minnesota House and Senate are in the same manner as Representative Kravak's bill on a House Resolution 5514. Here are some reasons to support this bill. House Resolution 4455 addresses a huge federal oversight, which the children of Minnesota have been asked to pay for 34 years. Representative, this resolution rights a historic wrong and would be a game changer for Minnesota children. The promise of quality public schools is maintained and treasured by this resolution. The federal government in the Northwest Ordinance implemented procedures for statehood and its commitment to grant lands for schools. They were applied to Minnesota and other states. This resolution ensures that school trust lands locked within the BWCAW are used for the purpose which they were intended. This resolution also allows Minnesota an opportunity to work this out within a year and rewards us with an expedited land process. I was part of the discussion group Minnesota put together, and as the group moved forward, the more unlikely I believe this process would ever be completed. $100 million was asked from the federal government, along with 32,000 acres in new lands, of which with this present fiscal status I feel is impossible. Minnesota has high bars for environmental quality and clean water, and we believe the state system of evaluation of this land trade rivals any national rules or regulations, and it supports the best solution passed by Minnesota legislators in a bipartisan manner. I'd like to say thank you from the students of Black Duck to Sartell, Mora to Bertha Hewitt, Albert Lee to Red Lake, Minneapolis, and St. Paul, and from my own wonderful grandson for your time today to hear this bill. Truly, members, this could be a game changer for children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I apologize for taking 30 seconds off of your time at the very beginning, asking you to get the mic closer to you. Representative Dittrich, is that pronounced properly?
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And once again, pull it as close to you as you can and make sure it's on, and you've got 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, Chairman Bishop, for the invitation to testify in support of H.R. 5544. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, if this bill is passed, this has the potential to be the next crucial step in a series of reform efforts in the state of Minnesota to fulfill our school trust land obligations for the public school children of the state. Ms. Keliher and I are here today on their behalf. As mentioned, I am a state representative for the state of Minnesota, but more importantly, I am here today as a trustee of the Minnesota School Trust Lands. I arrived to the state legislature with 10 years of public education experience, and yet I did not know that the school children of Minnesota were the beneficiaries to 2.5 million acres of trust land and to a trust fund of over, at that time, $650 million. And most importantly, that when I took that oath of office, I became a trustee. Even as a member of the Education Finance Committee, as I arrived at the House of Representatives, it was not until my third year of serving at the state legislature when I chaired a work group on school trust lands that I realized that we had school trust lands and what their purpose was. I learned a great deal of history about school trust lands in our country and in our state. Mr. Chairman, I know that you are keenly aware of the issue of school trust lands in the state of Utah. Your state has become a model state for those of us who still own school trust lands on how to manage school trust lands. And I want to thank you personally for allowing us to have people like Margaret Byrd and Kevin Carter come to other states and be role models. As a state representative, I take my role as trustee very seriously. I now know that when I stand up on the first day of session and take the oath of office to uphold the state constitution, I am reaffirming my role as trustee. According to trust law, a trustee must act with undivided loyalty to the beneficiaries, which are clearly the school children of the state of Minnesota. As I became more aware of my role, it became clear to me that the school trust lands management needed reform. We had been acting with divided loyalty, and because of this divided loyalty, the need for this type of bill is now in order. In 1905, Minnesota had one of the top performing trust funds, and now we are in the bottom quartile. We have passed a series of school trust land reform bills starting in 2008 where we gave the money to the schools and we kept it there. Previously we were giving the schools the money and then taking it away. We have also set up a commission that will hear all school trust lands bill, and we will now have a school trust lands director, and that person will be crucial for helping implement a bill like H.R. 5544. In our School Trust Lands Commission, it is going to be made up of 12 members, 6 from the Senate, 6 from the House, but there are going to be an equal number of Republicans and Democrats, no matter who is in the majority. And the reason why is because we have realized that this is a topic that brings Republicans and Democrats together. We have made great progress in honoring our trust obligations in the state of Minnesota, yet there is one outstanding issue that needs to be addressed. And it is the only people who can solve this issue for us is you, the members of Congress. And it is the 93,000 plus acres of school trust lands in the Boundary Waters Canoe area. It has never generated revenue for the school children of this state for 34 years. We understand it should not generate revenue because of its wilderness status, but we still have a fiduciary responsibility to explore all options. Our state, as has been mentioned before, has a long history of school trust lands within the Boundary Waters Canoe area. We have debated and debated and debated different options, but every conversation ends up empty-handed for the children of this state. And that is why this bill is important. And let me just highlight a couple of reasons why. First of all, another duty of a trustee is to make trust property productive. The land exchange would make 93,000 acres of unproductive land productive for the trust. It eliminates the potential lawsuit. According to Minnesota law, if management decisions are producing less than adequate income, the trust fund would have to be compensated. This has been demonstrated in case law over and over again. In the state versus the University of Alaska, the Alaska Supreme Court ruled that the state had breached its duty to administer the trust solely in the interest of the beneficiaries by failing to compensate the trust land. We do not want Minnesota to be paying lawyers. We want Minnesota to be funding our students. And just lastly, Mr. Chairman, if I may have some closing comments, this issue is about generating more money for our schools, but more importantly, it is about honoring the intent of our founding fathers who had the divine wisdom to understand that funding our public schools now and in the future is the building blocks of developing and maintaining a great competitive country. Our founding fathers would not understand the lack of action on behalf of the students in regards to the land in the Boundary Waters Canoe area. Neither would our children. It is a matter of trust. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We'll now start with